Okay, so next we're going to look at finding an equation of the inverse function. So you can see the 4 steps listed here at the top of the back page. You can read through those on your own, and we're going to work on example 4 and example 7 together, and then you guys can try example 5 and example 6 on your own. So let's start with example 4 here. The first thing we do is replace our f of x notation with y. So that makes our equation look a little something like this: y equals negative 2x plus 5. Then I want to swap the physical position of our x and y. So our equation will now be x equals negative 2y plus 5. And then I want to solve this equation for y. We always like an equation that's y equals something. So I would subtract 5, x minus 5 equals negative 2y, divide both sides by negative 2. So I have 2 different forms that I can leave this equation in. Y equals x minus 5 divided by negative 2, or I can divide the negative 2 through to both terms in the numerator and write it like this: y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/2. That's just dividing negative 2 by the 1 in front of the x and then by the negative 5 for the second term to get it into slope-intercept form. The very last step is to replace y with our inverse notation. Now, in your book, they don't use the f of x notation, but we would like you guys to do that for homework. So at the very end, we want you to put in an f inverse in place of this new y that you just solved for. And there's our inverse equation. Alright, so let's skip ahead to example 4 next. And the reason that I want to do, or example 7, excuse me. So the reason I want to do this is because this problem has a little restriction on what x values we can use. X's have to be greater than or equal to 0, which means from 0 and all of the values to the right of that, meaning positive values. So we can only use 0 or positive x's in this equation. And that's going to help us when we find our inverse. So remember, the first thing we do is replace the function notation with y. Y equals x to the 4th. Then we swap the place of the x and y. X equals y to the 4th. And then remember, to undo a power, we have to use a root. So to undo the 4th power, we're going to take the 4th root on each side. Those two things will cancel. And normally what we tell you to do is put in that little accessory, that plus or minus, over here on the side that we've solved for. But this is the reason that they gave us this restriction up here. If x is greater than or equal to 0, that means that we only want the positive roots this time. So our answer is going to be m inverse of x is equal to positive 4th root of x. And usually if it's the positive root, we don't put in that plus sign. We understand that we are just taking the positive roots. Now, if the domain, or if the restriction, had been x is less than or equal to 0, then we would use the negative roots, because that would mean that we want only negative values, and to get negative values we would have to have that negative symbol out in front. Alright, so I would like you guys to go back and on your own or with a partner work on example 5 and example 6 together, and in a moment here we'll put what the answers should be and you guys can check them and maybe have a couple people work them out up at the board if needed. Alright, so here are the 2 answers for examples 5 and 6 that you should have gotten working through them on your own. For the h of x function, h inverse of x should look like this: negative 5/2 x plus 3/2. And for example 6, g inverse of x is equal to the cube root of x minus 2. How did you do? Hopefully you did okay, and like I said, if you had any trouble, have folks go up to the board so you can see how to do these correctly.